Greetings viewers and welcome back to the review program. In this episode we will talk about the education sector of Uzbekistan. But before we dive into a more detailed discussion, my colleague has taken the surveys from the local residents about their views on the online and the traditional education.
I have studied online. There are a lot of students who miss the classes. That's why I prefer online studies. I think it's way more effective.
I prefer atmosphere of university. When you go and study having different practices within the university, I think that's why I prefer traditional classes. For instance, you may miss the assignments during Zoom classes or not attend. I think this is one of the disadvantages of online classes.
There could be different situations where person could not attend in-class courses, for example during the pandemic. However, online classes are not convenient. I didn't like the outcomes of the online classes. There were moments when students were missing the classes and not doing the assignments. However, when it comes to diploma, those who study remotely and traditional have an equal diploma. However, in practice, I think there always will be difference.
The education sector plays a crucial role in shaping the future of any nation. To enhance the education sector in Uzbekistan, the government has implemented various reforms, including teacher training programs, curriculum revisions, technological integration, and distance learning initiative. These reforms focus on enhancing the quality of education, improving access of education, and enlightening the curriculum with global standards. The government has also emphasized the importance of vocational education and skills development to address the needs of the labor market. While traditional education remains the dominant from the learning, online education has gained prominence, particularly in the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite the successful reforms, there are still challenges that need to be addressed. To discuss these issues, we have invited a special guest to our studio today, the rector of the MDIS University in Tashkent. Good evening, sir. Thank you for coming to our studio today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
And thank you very much for inviting us, and that's a great honor being in your channel, in the program. And we are so pleased of this invitation. Thank you.
My first question to you would be, in the recent 4 years, what changes have you observed in the education sector of Uzbekistan, and how have they influenced the higher education system, particularly during the pandemic time?
Yes, that's a very important question, and we learned a lot from the pandemic period of time in terms of not just only the education system, but also all the spheres which are related with the economy, and then the social life of the country. And people actually learn working and living in this condition of pandemic. So that period of time was a good lesson for everyone actually, including education system. The main thing is that we learned from that period of time in the education system is delivering the service, more on the online format. The things that over the couple of years that we got that understanding and mentality that students and the audience are supposed to be in the class. They are physically available in the class during that lecture or tutorial. But now we learned that the things can be done quite efficiently in the online format as well. That's one thing that we learned from that period of time during the pandemic. So using more actively the IT technologies and bringing that system to the education sphere. That's one thing. The second thing is bringing more industry-based modules and subjects to the system. Nowadays in the education system we can see, and then the big change and then the big improvement, I would say that over the last couple of years that we observed in Uzbekistan is, first of all, making the market research and preparing our higher education institutions based on the demand of the industry. So there used to be a big gap between the specialists which are coming from the higher education system to the labor market. So in order to eliminate that gap between the demand coming from the industry and then the specialists which are prepared by the higher education institutions, we already learned and had this good experience of, first of all, doing proper market research. That's one thing. The second thing is setting the collegial environment with all the producers, with the business society, with the job places and employers, basically. So what are their needs? What are the gap is filling? What are the their demand on the specialist?
Let's talk about the system shifts. Uzbek government is actively working on the reforms in the education system. For instance, one of them is the implementation of global practices. For instance, the government is conducting the trainings for teachers as well as the students. Students are introduced to new subjects in their primary schools, for example, IT. Do you think that this shift, like teachers and students are ready for this shift in the system, and how is this going to affect the quality of education for both sides?
Well, that makes sense. That's a very interesting question. I think that's the logical link. There's between the previous points that we discussed earlier. Definitely bringing new approach and obviously on the example of IT technologies to the education system brings the sphere into the new level, into more quality-based level. So the contribution of the human capital in the economic growth, in sustainable economic growth, will be much higher. Bringing the international standards to the education system is very important. Thinking not just only about the local market, but also providing our specialists to the international arena, international society as well. At the end of the day, our students will be involved in the business activities of international, well-recognized companies in the world. And some of our graduates are successfully involved in the public sector, civil servants, in the private sector. At the same time, in international organizations as well. For example, World Bank, UNDP, UN, ADB, EBRD, and so on. So our graduates nowadays are working there successfully, and that's one of the factors which keeps us quite pleased and feeling proud of their achievements.
Let's go over the online and offline education systems. Which one, in your opinion, is more effective nowadays, which brings more quality to the education process? Let's analyze these two formats from the both sides of the coin.
Very interesting question. Well, actually it depends in terms of the efficiency and productivity of the programs and then the classes which are organized on the formats of online and offline. Well, nowadays there are so many advantages of organizing the programs in online format. Yes, being no matter what the age, the gender, the status coming in from the society and so on, the person can sit and getting the benefit of the education service of another part of the world, for example, sitting at home or in the office or whatever. But yes, that many that in terms of the cost efficiency, in terms of time management, in terms of efficiency of the all the resources, that's very productive. Organizing the classes on online format. At the same time, that's what we are looking for nowadays. But there are some advantages of organizing the classes in offline format as well. For example, on the case of Uzbekistan, the achievements and the productivity, performance of the students also depends on their physically, presence in the classes. Obviously, being in the class, in that, first of all, you will have this opportunity feeling the environment. You're gonna enter the face-to-face discussion with the academic staff. Obviously, there will be some more questions. You will have that chance of learning something from your peers, your group mates, and you can get the real feelings of being part of that community, being organizing the things in the offline format. But again, it depends on the culture and the mentality of people and the students and the audience as well. You know, and if we rely on the independent learning system, then online format is going to be much better and much efficient comparing to any other formats. That's the, as I mentioned earlier, that's resource advantages in all the manners, and we need to bring our audience, Uzbek community, Uzbek audience, our Uzbek students to that level that they are first of all interested in their own studies by themselves. No one is, you know, pushing them to study. No one is responsible for their education, and this is the free and independent education environment. They are supposed to study using different materials, taking into account those course materials which are provided by the academic staff, but also doing their own research.
How do you envision the education sector in the future? Do you think that Uzbekistan will fully move to the modern methods involve the technology in the process, or we will still keep up with the traditional methods of teaching?
That's an important question. Nowadays, according to the social economic development of Uzbekistan until 2030, so we already accepted this crucial document based on the special presidential decree, and sticking on the the main directions, important points of the strategy until 2030. The human capital and education system is the first unit of this strategy. So that's already the result of the intention of the government for the development, for the improvement of the education system of the country. So as we know that we have 5 different priority directions in the socio-economic development strategy of Uzbekistan until 2030. So the education system and then the development of the human capital is listed as a first unit. So that means a lot for us. So it means that until coming to the 2030, the coverage of the tertiary education system will be reached at least 50%. So there will be significant change in that figure. And also another point that we need to give the equal opportunity to everyone being involved in education system. That's why the share of the private sector in education is increasing a lot. We can see a significant improvement on this factor as well. The vision in terms of, vision for the future is, yes, we'll keep going with this format in terms of bringing more globally recognized modules, more different programs according to the specifics of the economy. Nowadays we already moved from the agriculture-based to industry-based country. So as long as we improve and develop the industry, so this industry requires certain specific set of skills and a background. So we need to match that requirement. So we need to guide our education system accordingly. And in the future, for the next couple of years, my personal idea is the education will be based on mostly on vocational training and short and medium courses. So this is very crucial. Why? First of all, in order to meet the requirements of the employers in the market, in the labor market, as long as we have these capacities, there's the shortage of job places, but also surplus of specialists in the labor market. So it depends how you are looking at the point. So we are coming from the different corners, but the point is the same, and then the root and the problem is still sitting there. I mean, that's why what we can do in order to fulfill the expectations and requirements of the job providers, kind of employers. First of all, we need this fit in their requirements. by organizing the benefits of the short and medium term courses. So at the end of the day, most of the job places nowadays, they are required, not sophisticated set of skills and background. They are required, medium level of skills. So in order to get that skill, the employees, the applicants are not supposed to study 4 or 6 or 7 years. In order to get the sophisticated set of skills, then the specialists are required to study a certain number of years and getting that specialization of that sphere. But according to the current situation, taking into account the expectations of our employers, the plan will be concentrating more on the those short and medium term courses and also bringing engineering based courses to the program. Nowadays Uzbekistan is very rich in natural resources. In order to gain that comparative advantage, we need to match the requirements of different sort of sophisticated spheres, kind of mining sphere, oil and gas, as I mentioned earlier, atom electric sphere, chemistry, biology, mathematics. So these type of modules are supposed to be more improved, and the specialists are required to be prepared accordingly to based on the actual needs and demands of the labor market. So human capital will be, and it is actually still there. So the human capital will be divided into two groups. Human capital with the high set of skills, obviously they are getting more well-paid jobs, and the majority coming to the second group. So the second group of people are getting medium term of job places, which are requiring medium level of skills and background. In order to be part of that market, they need to get certain part and certain type of qualifications. In order to get that qualification, they are not supposed to study 4 or 5 years. It's going to be quite enough for them passing through those training courses, which will be organized for 3, 6 up to 1 year courses. That's going to be quite a crucial part of the change for in the education sphere for the next decades, I guess.
Thank you so much for this interview. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much. That's our pleasure being part of this program as well. Thank you for inviting. Thank you.
Thank you, dear viewers, for watching this program, and see you in the next episodes.